I'd like to call the meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. and ask if there's anyone who has any public comment. Any of our visitors? 1, 2, 3 gone. Okay. So move. You agree? Okay. The minutes for May 8th have been approved. So you're going to do the financial report?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, so the financial report is up. Financial report for June 12th, 2024. June warrants total $78,247.73. The total for payroll is $20,987.95, including Chief Carlton's salary of $6,662.92 and Assistant Chief Shields' pay of $3,567.43. There was one event for the commissioners and the board secretary. The total payout for volunteers, warrants included, is $13,846. The May financial statements have been handed out for review. I am requesting the board's approval of warrants and payroll for June as presented. Respectfully, Patty Markel, Finance Manager. Yes.
The first line, the first one.
This right here?
No, first line, paragraph.
Yeah.
For G right now.
Oh, it's May warrants.
Okay, so we'll take note that these should be May warrants, not June. So this is the June meeting, but obviously that wasn't changed back to May. So that is a clerical error, but everything else is correct. So we're making that note for the meeting for June warrants.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to accept the warrants and payroll for May? Do we accept May? Okay. So it's been moved and seconded and accepted. $78,247.73 for the warrants, and payroll is $13,846.00. And you have accepted that. Okay. Correspondence?
No correspondence. Well, we had a medical call and we got a correspondence from the couple that was treated, and it was a thank you from them for doing such a good job with the cruise and for the patient and everything else. So that is the correspondence to note.
Nice.
Yeah.
You usually do the budget comparison for the minute.
Yep. And I was gonna.
The correspondence.
I
Okay.
was coming back to the budget.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come back to the budget. So to go over the budget, total remaining budget for this year is 62.95% compared to 5/31 of 23, which was 65.58%. So, and again, I'd like to express the difference between the two budgets. We were at $600,000 last year in 2023 and change. Obviously, there was 600 plus, but this year we're at a higher budget, so we are spending some money to make up in areas that we need to improve upon.
As we planned.
As we planned. So for the credit card, we have Alberta vehicle extrication. So I've sent one of our members to Alberta for a heavy rescue vehicle extrication class and farm equipment extrication class. We do have tractors and stuff like that in the area. They do hay, so we could have issues with some of those. So no, this is the first that we've done that, and thought it would be a benefit to have somebody come back and give us some education on that. And so we sent them. I paid for the courses. They paid actually for their airfare and hotel. So we paid for the courses for that. Alert All Corporation is for public relations. So those are the kids' fire hats, coloring books, and everything else. So we're getting ready for the summer. I actually got ahead of it this year versus being behind. So we'll have plenty of supplies for the summer. Saltwater Cafe, they provided our meals for the CERT training days that we had. I think we had 19 new members of CERT that were qualified and passed the exam, and they are working for the community now in that capacity. So the district sponsored that, and Saltwater Cafe provided the lunches during those days. Life Assist is EMS supplies. Those are just correspondence with medications and materials that we need for running our ambulance and paramedic service here. Any questions on that? Organic, I guess I should go over that. That's a $47,000 price tag. Organics was the mini splits. So we had 3 mini splits put upstairs, and we had a mini split put into the clinic. And that's air conditioning and heating. So the upstairs is much more tolerable. Okay, that's a good word. Tolerable for the crews. And we're using it now. It's very comfortable up there at 68 degrees. It would get into the upper 80s up there during the summer, and we try to combat that with smaller window units and fans. So this year, we were able to go ahead with that with the benefit of having the levy increase, but it's a capital improvement to the building. And then we're the landlords of the tenants in the clinic, and we put in a unit for the clinic so the patients and the staff there can be more comfortable as well during the summer months and during the winter because it provides better heat. So this is going to be a lot more efficient for us, and I'm looking forward to see how it does this summer. Whidbey Telecom, so that's 5,900. That is the tower that we have our radios on. Our Fire 1 and our Fire 2 bands and antennas are up there, along with the dish for backhaul to CBP in Blaine. I'm looking forward to going on to the sheriff's backhaul, which is much more robust. So they have allowed us graciously to come on to that system. So we'll be in a better position for communications. They came up here. It's been an ongoing thing for about 2 years. So I'll just let you know that. It's really, realistically, it's been ongoing for quite a while. And I'm happy to say that the communications company is coming up here on the 17th, and they're supposed to switch us over to that system. So we'll be doing testing that day and making sure that it works properly. But it's more of a robust, and they'll maintain it, which is nice too. So, but we'll still have our Fire 1, Fire 2 radio system on top of that tower. So, and that's the rent. So the 5,900 is the rent for that space from Whidbey, and that's a yearly cost.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I'm not sure I understand what it is. You're moving the communication system, but you're keeping.
No, the communication systems are staying.
Okay.
But we're being, our backhaul dish is 14 inches, I think. It's a small dish. Let's say it's 14 inches. It's a small dish compared to the sheriff's office dish, which is, I don't know, 24 to 40 some inches. So it's, say again? Yeah, so we're hooking into their backhaul, but we're still being dispatched. So we're cooperating with the sheriff's department on the backhaul, information back, but we're still being dispatched off of the system that we currently have on that tower, which is our Fire 1, and we're speaking off of Fire 2. So those are still within our system. So we're just cooperating with the sheriff's office to have a better communication backhaul in the system than what we currently have.
And that doesn't change the cost of the.
It doesn't change the cost. We'll be taking down our dish, but it doesn't change our cost. So, and we've had that, I believe, since 2014. We've been up on the tower. We spent $70-some thousand in capital reserves to have a have a better communication system than what we were doing. We were being dispatched off of Squalcombe and sometimes Galbraith Mountains, and those communications were not working well. So that's why we decided to go with our own up here. And Wax Fuel is Fuel Marketplace is obviously the grocery store, and Ellen and Curtis is just supplies, and that's foam concentrate is what we purchased from Ellen and Curtis. We have gone into, well, anyway, I'll finish that. So any questions on the budget or where we're at or expenditures?
No, no questions.
Okay, I'll go into District 1 out in Everson. They put in for a grant, and the grant was a combination of firefighting foam and also 5 gas air monitors. We currently 5 gas air monitors like carbon monoxide, cyanide, and other stuff that we find in fires. I don't believe from the last communications we got the grant, but I don't believe it's as much as we were hoping to acquire. So now we're trying to figure out District 1, District 14, us, and I think a couple other agencies went into this grant together and trying to figure out what would be the most what would be the best route to take, whether going with a 5 gas monitors or putting more money into foam. Lummi Island is part of this as well. And they have to have a very specific foam, I guess, out on Lummi Island or that they use, which is different than ours. And it's different than District 1's and it's different than District 14's. So obviously that's become a headache a little bit. The 5 gas monitor, it would be a nice thing to have. It's not necessarily necessary for us to have a 5 gas monitor. But if we received one of those, then we would have to spend about $3,400 on updating our bump station, which would be calibrating it and making sure that it's working correctly on a monthly basis to the system that we currently have now. So I'm really not a fan of that, to have that expenditure of cost. For a gas monitor, we would rarely use. Our 4 gas monitors are pretty well outfitted for what firefighters utilize, except for the cyanide. We have cyanide on ours. And what's the SO4? Hydrogen sulfate? I thought it was hydrogen sulfate.
So we've got O2, CO, LAO, and either hydrogen cyanide or
Hydrogen sulfate. We'll confirm. I talked to Ellen and Curtis, which is our provider to that, and they thought we had hydrogen sulfate. So we'll confirm to see if we have that. If I asked him if we're able to switch that out into hydrogen cyanide, which is a poisonous gas in smoke. And he was going to be checking into that to see if we had the ability to switch out the gases we want. I believe we do, but we have to get confirmation on that still. So if realistically hydrogen cyanide is a better gas for us to monitor, I would put that into our 4 gas monitors and forego the 5 gas monitor in this grant and concentrate more on foam for us to use. Now, I'd like to say also our foam is all PFAS and PFOS free now. So it's the environmentally friendly foam. We switched out in January. And we had all of our trucks flushed actually last October, November, when they went in for service. We had them all flushed, the systems cleaned out, and then we switched over to the new environmentally friendly PFAS, PFOS free foams since then. So we were one of the first to go in the county to that foam.
Just a question, when do you actually use that foam?
We use it on all fires. So here, because it gives us better suppression capability, our primary engine 58, it's a CAF systems, which is compressed air foam system. So it's designed to use foam. Engine 5803 and 5802 are other engines, are bigger engines. They both have foam capability on those apparatus too, but we like to use foam because it helps suppress quicker. Plus it helps not have rekindles. So have something flare up later. That's the benefit of foam because it soaks in. It's like ivory soap. It soaks into the material. So you don't have reignition.
Is it used for fires in the car?
Yep, every fire that we have. Wildland firefighters use foams. Obviously, you see it coming out of the planes that are being spread, the red slurry coming out of the planes, everything like that. But those are forms of concentrates of sorts, right? Not necessarily the foam that we use. That's extremely expensive. But the ground forces will use foam as well. When I was on a wildfire team in Colorado, our rigs were outfitted with foam. Brush 58 is outfitted with wet water, which is foam. We dump foam into that. So we put foam on the ground again to help us suppress quicker because we don't have the line teams to go back and dig line and to check it and everything else. So when we put out fire, whether it's residential, vehicle, dumpster, boat, whatever it be, we'll be using foam. And now the foam, obviously, it's been a push for a number of years. And more so in the last probably 2-3 years for all municipalities to switch over to PFAS and PFAS foam. But we're ahead of the game. So I'm happy to say that.
That's great.
Yes.
You said that was an AFG grant?
I don't know if I don't think it's an AFG grant. It's funded though. It's
Grant, it's multi.
correct. Yeah, District 1, Everson was in charge of it. So yeah, it's funding that was received, and it might have been a state funding that was received. It's a combination of something. Okay. Yeah, since I'm not in charge of that grant, I'm not
Okay, thank you.
as up to date as I should be on where the funding's coming from, but it is,
Good.
yeah, it's funding that was received.
They can share equally.
I likely equally, we all put in a number of foam that we would like to have and a number of gas detectors. I put in for 1 gas detector, other agencies put in for 2, other agencies put in for 0. So it depends. And then a certain amount of foam would be distributed to each agency too. So, yeah.
Any other grants?
Oh, so I'll go over that. I'll do that since you asked about the grants. I have not heard anything on the radio grant at this point or the ambulance grant that we have pending with FEMA and the AFG grant process. Yeah, so I haven't heard anything yet. We're hoping that we'll hear something starting in July. Yeah. And I'm not, again, it's always, you never know. But to get 1 grant would be incredible. To get 2 grants would be a blessing. And last year we got 0 grants. So 3 grants is a miracle. It would be a miracle. But I didn't put in for 3. So we're not going to get a miracle this year. It would be nice because both of them come close to $300,000. I think one is 300,000 or really close to. They're right at 300,000 plus or minus. And again, one's for an ambulance, and the other one would be for changing out all of our portable radios because they no longer do mobiles or base station radios. But all of our portable radios will be changed out into the newest technology. I think we're ready for the chief's report. Oops, sorry. Bring this up. Everybody should be able to see this, hopefully.
Oh, it's good.
So I discussed the organic HVAC system installed. We had 3 heads installed upstairs for the firefighters, and we had another system installed for the medical clinic. We have a National Fire Academy course coming up on June 29th and 30th. You are all welcome to attend if you would like to. This course is a health and safety manager course, and it's regarding, I put it out to our CERT team as well to see if any interested parties are there. It'll be both days, 29th and 30th. I would have to say, I'm guessing it's going to start at 9 o'clock, but it may start at 8:30, and it'll go until mid-afternoon, 4 probably. in the afternoons. Lunch will be provided, obviously. We do have some this has been published regionally, both in Lower Mainland and in Washington. And we do have some people coming up from Skagit and some people coming in from the Lower Mainland agencies. So we'll have, half a dozen visitors coming in from outside of the agency. Some people coming up from the county as well. So minimum participation is 20. So we'll at least have 20 people. Yeah, but it's health and safety manager, and it's from the National Fire Academy out of Emmitsburg.
Is it similar to what we had?
No,
before?
we haven't had anything like this before. Yeah. 9 new members coming on board this month. So I didn't include them in the member roster numbers at this point because they haven't passed their medicals yet. So we have 9 new members coming on, and that was out of the hiring process or the intake process that we just did. It's time because we're pretty low on personnel at this point when it comes to shift rotations. And we're looking forward to bringing them on. We have 8 men and 1 female that's coming on in that group. Burn ban is going in place July 1st. I'll just let you guys know that. So July 1st is going to be probably a yearly occurrence now. The Whatcom County Fire Marshal's Office is taking a stance rather than follow fuel moistures in the grass and in the trees and things like that to determine when a burn ban should go in place. They're going to follow the lead of other counties in Washington that basically have a time span that a burn ban is automatically put in place. And that would be for residential and land clearing initially. That's a stage 1 burn ban. So land clearing, residential's out, land clearing, I'll confirm that, but I'm assuming land clearing is part of the level 1, 2. Level 2, recreational fires will still be allowed. So your campfire, your pit, to do your marshmallows and hot dogs and stuff like that with your kids. That normally gets taken out or prohibited in later levels of burn bans. And then obviously propane fire pits are really unlikely to be taken out or prohibited at any time because they are very safe. They don't put off embers. And if they tip over, they turn themselves off. So if we got to a stage 4, potentially propane fire pits could be taken out too. Anything on your deck, we're talking anything on your deck is really not part of this is in propane. So if you had a propane fire pit still on your deck and you enjoy that, it's anything that's on the ground is what we're looking for. Anything in the geography of your yard or anything like that. So that's where we're at. I'll try to publish more information, but the fire marshal will be coming out with a statement in the coming days. Yeah. Say again. Came out today. So
land clearing and stage 1 is land clearing and
residential.
Residential land.
Yeah, residential land clearing. So that's a stage 1. Yeah. And I published that on ePost today too and Nextdoor as well. I got nothing to report on any of the apparatus. Chief Community Paramedic or CP58 has had its inaugural run. I think I reported that last meeting. And we have another run coming up tomorrow, the 13th, helping someone get down south to see doctors as well. So we'll do everything we can to benefit our community through this program. That doesn't mean we're going to be able to do everything at all times to benefit people, but we'll try to step up. Yesterday, we had an individual who had an issue with running out of insulin. They didn't plan ahead and they ran out of insulin and phone calls were being made. A phone call was made to a pharmacy in Bellingham. We were able to get a hold of a person down in Bellingham, Circle of Care was, to pick up that medication and bring it back to Bellingham for this individual last night. So that was a good thing. I mean, we're a community, right? And, everybody's used, but we were on standby if we were going to have to go down and pick up that medication, but we didn't need to. at that point. So it was a good outcome for that person. Right now, not including the new 9 members, we're still holding at 44. 3 paramedics, 9 EMTs, 5 advanced EMTs, 1 RN. At the end of this month, registered nurses cannot practice in the pre-hospital setting without the approval of the medical program director of the EMS system that they would like to function in. And even though they're higher level licensed, they still can't function because it's a different world, right? It's a different world. It's a different approach, different protocols, actually protocols to function under versus doctor direction. And there's some things to learn. So on the later this month, I have a meeting with Dr. McBain, who is our supervising physician, to talk about Sarah Viant. Being able to utilize her skills at the advanced EMT level. And all it does is take approval of a physician going, yes, I'll take upon that responsibility for this nurse to be functioning, starting IVs in the pre-hospital setting, not the hospital setting, giving certain medications in the pre-hospital setting and so forth. And so hopefully she'll be able to get approved at the advanced EMT level. We're also going to be discussing having a couple of our advanced EMTs be able to utilize epinephrine in cardiac arrest. That is allowed by the state of Washington. Again, it only needs MPD approval. And right now we have preliminary approval through Dr. Wayne. We're just going to have a further discussion with our supervising physician, Dr. McBain. And if he feels comfortable with that, then there'll be probably 2 of our advanced EMTs that I would train up very quickly to be able to benefit the public in cardiac arrest by being able to give epinephrine as a first line. So that's some big news there. Volunteer hours for the month of May, 2,042. Volunteer payroll, 14,205. I was gone to Phoenix. We had a Mayday workshop that I had to get coverage for me up here. So I was gone right around a week and a half in total. So we had to have coverage. So that's upticked our payroll a little bit. Combined chief hours, I worked 172, Chief Shields 100 for 272 hours. Total calls for the month of May, 40. We had 16 EMS calls. We had 5 transports that this agency took people down to the hospital. We had 11 no transports, EMS care, so community paramedicine, home health care. We did 12. We had 3 public assists, and we had 9 fire classifications. We had 2 permitted outdoor burns, 1 smoke investigation, 4 false alarm calls going through. We had 1 animal rescue, and that was the eagle that we had. And that turned into quite a spectacle at the border after that. I'll just let you know, I was pulled in to discuss that, and it caused some issues for CBSA with their upper level office of what would be considered fish and wildlife in Canada. And they basically stated that they probably would not allow that again in the future because I would need to import the eagle into Canada. And we spoke to CBP, and we looked it up, and it's basically a 47-page document that I would have to fill out to get an injured eagle to OWL, which is a raptor rescue, which works with rescues in Alaska and all over the United States. They transfer birds back and forth. So speaking with and I understand the position of the superintendent there, the supervisor I was speaking with, because they have to follow, rules, and they have things that come down on them, and things that don't quite make common sense. Because I asked him, I go, if we took this down to Maple Beach, and I called OWL Raptor Rescue, and they were, where that little walkway is down on Maple Beach by the tower there, on the beach wall. And I go, if I put the bird down on the ground and shoot it across the border, and OWL was there, this Raptor Rescue was there, and they captured it and picked it up, that would be okay. I didn't get a yes, but I didn't get a no. But then I said, if I end up handing it to OWL at the border, then you think we're transferring drugs across the border inside of an eagle, right? And it would be a problem. And the answer to that was basically yes. We couldn't hand over the bird. But I go, if I scared the bird across the border, put it down and we wiggled it across the border, scared it across the border, whatever be the case, technically that would not be a violation of international law. And it came down to it being questioned whether or not the US would want the bird back. And I go, have you been to the dump? There's probably 50 to 100 eagles there on average. And I guess you guys need to round those birds up and bring them back to the United States because it's our national bird. So common sense is not prevailing in this because this bird's never been to the vet. It doesn't have vaccinations. It's an injured wild animal that can be rescued and saved by a organization on the other side. So I'm hoping that we can work through this and come to a solution that helps save injured animals and vice versa. Now, I don't know what the Canadian bird is. What's the Canadian bird? Does anybody know what the Canadian bird is? I would be interested to see if that bird would get injured on our side of the border and we wanted to transfer it back into Canada, what the process would be if it was their bird. Right? And just a question.
I'll will come down and get it.
No, so Al was barred at the border. They were stopped at the border. They were allowed to come over one day, and the second day they tried to come over, or the third day they tried to come over, because we didn't get notification of this until 3 days in. We finally got the call from a private citizen, and we had the bird captured and to Al within 30 minutes of that. But people have been trying to capture this eagle, as far as I understand, for 3 days before 2 days, because we were called on the third day along with that rescue. And anyway, I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma.
Last day in the US.
So they transfer birds back and forth, but they are a local, not a provincial outfit. So it would have to be a Canadian raptor rescue versus a local raptor rescue.
There's no way to put them in a boat, Gary.
Same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you put them in a boat, you're crossing the international line with an injured bird and it's still a transfer of a bird. Now, if we went out in the ocean, we put the bird in a raft and we pushed the raft across the international border and there was a boat there that actually picked up the raft and got the bird, then we are not technically handing the bird across the border and touching hands with someone else on the Canadian side. I did not ask in the neutral zone up here at the border where we had the hands across the border event. There's a neutral line there. And I don't know if that would be considered a violation of this position that Canada is potentially taking.
One thought, what about the park up near the border, which is international, both Canadian and American, go onto that soil?
I don't know what park you're mentioning because Monument Park is on our side. So all the parks we have here are on our side. They're not international parks like the Peace Arch.
Is that? Oh, I always thought that park that had
The monument,
yeah,
it's not an international park.
that isn't.
No, that's on our side and there is a line down on the water, imaginary, but there is a line that goes out.
The yellow barriers.
Yeah, the yellow barriers there are the border and that line goes straight out towards.
Quite a lot of argument over that. Wow.
Yeah, so I apologize and I don't want to cause problems, for CBSA here in Point Roberts or anywhere else in regards of us doing the right thing to save an injured animal. And Fish and Wildlife of Washington State was called. They didn't want anything to do with the bird. But if that bird would have been in Ferndale, would have been in anywhere other than Point Roberts in Whatcom County, Fish and Wildlife would have gone out and got it.
They wanted to develop 47 agents, take that.
Well, I don't think they would have had to, being an official governmental agency out of Washington State, but they did not, they refused or denied to come up to Point Roberts to gather the bird. And that's the information that I was given. So everybody was called, as far as I know. Al was called, Fish and Wildlife was called. But obviously I did not do that. So that is secondhand. Finally, we were called and we were able to capture the bird very quickly and get it back up to the border. So, and then that caused more problems. Yeah, still that drone's owned, and that's an international border crossing with drones. So you have to remember with David Ho, the search and rescue operation we had back in November, they would not allow Delta PD to fly their drones over the border to search for David Ho. They would not allow the drone to pass over the international boundary. So, and we're still working through red tape on that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? And when you're dealing with official governmental agencies, I think, you know, there should be more leeway in cooperation with them, regardless of the international border. I can understand people may think it sets a precedent for private citizens to fly things over the borders, but that's not what we're participating in, right? We're participating in official agencies launching, cooperating with us on an international basis to search for someone who is potentially lost. Yeah. It sure could. So yeah, we could, yeah, fly, but like a helicopter, it has to declare, has to go into international airspace, right? Airlift can't just automatically cross and transport somebody into Canada. They have to actually get permission to, if, let's say all the hospitals, we had a true disaster in the Puget Sound area. All the hospitals down south were overloaded. Airlift comes here to pick somebody up. They want to fly that person into Canada. They would have to get permission to do that. They just can't pick up and go, right? So they could hover at the border in the air until they get permission. And, you know, that's a visual perspective, not necessarily what would happen, right? As we had a wrong address as well. We got dispatched to another municipality's address. And I think I covered everything there. So that's my chief's report for the month of June, for May 2024. Yeah, absolutely. I printed those off, or I thought I printed those off, but I'll send these out. The chief officer's report is already sent to you guys by email. So I sent that out today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was good. New business? Oh, unfinished business.
Oh, so we got help from somebody online, All Point Bulletins. If you can read that over there, says it's the Whiskey Jack is the Canada's national bird as of 2017.
Oh, good.
Does anybody know what a Whiskey Jack?
Absolutely. They will steal your lunch in a heartbeat.
Okay, so I'm gonna do something special. I'm gonna do something special here so everybody can know. Whoops, let me see here. I want to look up what a Whiskey Jack is and show everybody.
It was known as the Canada Jay for 200 years.
This one down on the bottom. Looked like I see, yeah.
So is that Canada Jay?
It's the little gray jay in the corner there.
Okay, so let me share this. So I'm gonna share this with everybody. I like Whiskey Jack for he's going Gray Jay, but I kind of like Whiskey Jack.
Canada Jay, Whiskey Jack, and Gray Jay.
So that
You see, it's stealing your lunch.
is Canada's bird. Right there.
Yeah.
So Canada J up here as well.
Yeah.
So now we know what Canada's national bird is.
I don't
So
think I've seen one here in Fairgrounds.
they don't let them over the border without importation. But
Okay.
so, okay, thank you for that information, by the way. Okay,
Any new business? Nothing new to bring up.
any unfinished business that we need to discuss?
Fire restrictions will come out soon as these.
It's been published today. Yeah, so it's been published today. Yeah, so people that want to get burning in, we might have a lot of burning over the next 15 days. 16, 17, how many ever days are in June. So just know that the community might be a little smoky, but we'll put out fires that are causing nuisance and all of that. But July 1st, and I believe it's going to be through September, maybe up to October, that this level 1 will be in place. Obviously, it can go to level 2, level 3, level 4 during the summer. But they're most likely this is going to be an annual automatic placement from this point forwards that will commence on July 1st. That is what I believe is the plan. Obviously, that can change, but it looks like we might just have a range of months that we have an automatic burn ban in place. Again, as I mentioned, versus trying to follow the moisture fuel or the fuel moistures in the grasses and the trees and the other shrubs. So.
Notice to publish definition of level 2 and 3.
July 1 to September 14th. Yeah, to September 14th and maybe continue. So I would say give it to the end of September just to make it easy to remember. Say that again, Commissioner. Yeah, so that's out there and I can send that to you as well. So I have that already. Yeah. And again, everybody understands since 2006 by resolution of the commissioners back then, we have all burns require a permit here. And the benefit of that is people have to come in, be educated by us, what they can and cannot burn. And then they take the permit home. They're supposed to read it more or again. And so they can't claim non-education or ignorance when we arrive on scene. We recently had a fire. It was a moderate fire, moderate sized fire of illegal things being burnt in this community. And we have sent them down to Northwest Clean Air. Northwest Clean Air. So we've sent that down to the state for them to remedy fines and stuff on that particular business. Yeah. So years ago, we sent a person to jail for 2 weeks because he was a habitual burner here. And his biggest mistake was he falsified our document, our official document. So he wouldn't have to come back up. So he just copied all these documents and then just changed the dates and everything else. So the biggest thing that got him was falsification of an official document. And then all of the other information we had on his burn. So we take pictures of all burns that happen here. Because we've had people challenge us that it's not their property in the past. When we haven't gotten a picture of the house with the fire, them in the picture, all of those things. So we concentrate on getting the parties involved in the picture with the fire, with the home that's on the property and stuff like that. So all of it can be meshed up and they can't claim that you have the wrong person, right? Because we've had that happen. So we've been doing that for a lot of years, but this will be the second person that I've sent to Northwest Clean Air in my time here. Yeah, the first person got fined $750. And if they don't pay it, let's say it's somebody that doesn't live here full time, they decide not to pay it, the state will actually put a lien on your property. So that's why we go to the state now. The state has been very helpful in the past. And I normally don't go to that level, but when it's completely outside of any type of parameters, then education needs to be done at a higher level than me at that point. So,
So big.
yeah, it's about protecting the entire community, and that's our job. So,
Good, thank you. Anything else? Nothing you can think of? Okay, you wanna adjourn?
Yes, I make the motion that we adjourn.
At? Just a second. 4:47. Long meetings today.
okay, thank you everybody for coming. Thanks for the information on the bird. I appreciate that we could include that. So, thanks everybody.